Well, Cuttack is set for a very interesting triangular contest, and I'm joined by BJD's candidate from Cuttack, who is Mr. Santrupt Misra. Thank you so much for speaking to CNN News 18. You surprised many by quitting a very high-profile, successful corporate career and choosing to be in politics. Now, I'm just curious, what motivated you to do so? What motivated you to, leave such a cushy job, such a illustrious job, a very comfortable one, to throw yourself into the uncertainty of politics?
Well, I wish I knew that answer very clearly, but I think politics in one form or the other was in my blood from childhood. Even in childhood, I used to write down every constituency's name and candidates from different parties. Those days there was no television. On radio I used to listen, and I used to remember constituency-wise, party-wise names of candidates in the state. My father's eldest brother was the chairman of Cuttack municipality, and he was also the editor of the newspaper Kalinga, which used to be published by late Naveen Patnaik. And so there was an association with politics always. A couple of my cousins have been in Communist Party, etc. I have been active indirectly in student politics all my life in some ways. I retained my interest in politics. But as I grew older, and so did my children, and got well settled, the question in my mind was that, what's the purpose of life? And is this all that I do is to run mega global businesses? And I could have continued to do that another 10, 15 years. But the thought crossed my mind that a time has come that I should explore with myself and my leadership. This is not the first opportunity I got, honestly.
Okay,
it's been on my mind for 10 years. I got an opportunity in 2014 elections. There were certain circumstances I couldn't take the opportunity. There was an opportunity in 2019, but my dad fell and fractured his hip and shoulders. I couldn't do that.
So this was the right time.
This was the third. I said, Brahma, Vishnu, 2 occasions when Maheshwar is left. So, this is the right time. I'm at the right age, and children are well settled. And therefore I decided to take the plunge.
So was the motivation to give back? Because
well, give back certainly, and to say that, Indian youth, Indian children, Indian state must grow at a faster rate. We must solve a lot of our problems. And most importantly, I felt an alternate model of politics where selfless role in building nation could be very critical in making the difference. So I thought I'll do that.
Now, I wanted to ask you that you come with 30 years of leadership experience, but after having worked in a corporate environment, but that's extremely different from working in politics or, for the constituency, for the people. How do you use those skills, your experience, while you're canvassing, while you're reaching out to the people, and how different has this change been for you personally?
No, so I think at one level, obviously, it's different, but another level, you really find parallels with corporate world. For example, when I was looking after the fertilizer business, I worked with a lot of farmers in rural areas. When you work with large factories, you work with thousands of workers, trade unions, you work with the community on corporate social responsibility. In retail, you work with consumers. So I think in many ways, I had a significant exposure to a range of stakeholders that you would find in a constituency, And obviously, whole family has been in government, and therefore government servants also have interacted with. And what do you really do in politics, what you do differently from corporate? Really not very much. You have a goal to achieve. You have a set of resources, people, money, whatever. You got a vision, you got ideas, you got to bring your execution skill, which in corporate you hone, how to take a project from an ideation stage to completion and study the impact and feedback loop. In fact, one of my motivations or objective is to bring all of those experiences and make them adapt them to politics to make a bigger impact. Because project execution, for example, in my last 2 months of campaigning, I've realized that when people tell me a problem, I understand it very quickly, because problem solving is what I have done all my life. Yes. So I ask few questions, and then I get a sense, okay, maybe we have not explored this. But today I don't have an official position or capacity to address those. But
yes,
if I am elected, perhaps I would have the access to information and resources to address those.
But you are a political greenhorn and you are going to be taking on a sitting MP, Mr. Mehtab, who's pitted against you. Are you excited about putting up this fight, or are you banking on Naveen Patnaik's enormous popularity to sail through?
So, first of all, it would be a complete misnomer if I were to claim that I'm fighting this election on my own. Anybody who has won anywhere in India, in history or today, barring exceptional few, have always won on the basis of their party, their leadership, their symbol. Anybody who wants to flatter themselves to say that I'm God's gift to mankind and on my own, well, there are very few. That's when independents win. But sometimes you find independents truly have got some silent backing of somebody. You read about it all the time in the media and everything. But yes, I am banking on Naveen Patnaik's popularity, Biju Janata Dal's strength, and these symbols' inherent brand appeal to voters of Odisha. But at the same time, I'm also aware that a time has come where people are looking for an alternate kind of politics, an alternate profile. And with my outreach to people, I do get a sense that people respond to me because I'm not a conventional politician, because I bring freshness of ideas. You may have seen I published an ideas manifesto the other day. It's very rare, I don't know in Indian politics if ever any parliamentary candidate has presented a manifesto, that too calling it an ideas manifesto, which is not a really promise, about the constituency and each assembly segment therein. And I think that is an appeal. The other day I found people reading and quoting from it in a meeting, and I found people generally excited about elements that I have put in
but
there.
Does it resonate with the people on the ground? You know, the newness
I am
of
surprised.
Ideas, because change
it
can
does.
be unnerving.
No, the change can be unnerving for me, but for them, I think perhaps they were looking for something fresh, different, new, unusual, if not unique,
Interesting. You know, you're a thorough professional. You come from a corporate environment. How do you respond to all the criticism coming in for the Chief Minister, for the Odisha's governance or their model of functioning, that it has been hijacked by bureaucrats, it's a little too corporatized, it's too professional, etc., etc.?
I think, first of all, criticism, particularly during election time, or the rhetoric of election time, often camouflages the truth. I've been a student of political science. I've been a student of civil service. The steel frame of civil service was created as permanent executive to back the political executive. So the very fact that the political executive is dependent on permanent executive to drive the administrative machinery, drive the welfare, take the services to the citizens, there's nothing unusual about it. There have been people in bureaucracy who have been extremely powerful in history. Name the government you name. With Prime Minister Bajpayee, it was perhaps Brijesh Mishra. In Prime Minister Modi's earlier term, perhaps Nipendra Mishra. Right now, also the Principal Secretary happens to be from Odisha.
There could be some truth to that, Mr. Mishra, but the argument is that those leaders were still seen, they were visible, they were accessible to the people. The criticism or the charge by the BJP against the BJD is that Naveen Patnaik is nowhere to be seen. He's become a recluse. He's someone who has been kept out of the loop, and there are others, or his clique, or his coterie, that are calling the shots.
I understand that. In fact, my argument would be to the contrary. That Naveen Patnaik has clearly defined, as a statesman leader, what should his role be. He does not perhaps believe in every time building that personality cult about himself, being present everywhere and only talking himself. He lets his work talk. And he lets his work talk through the bureaucracy, through the normal machinery. And he comes in when he needs to speak. He has always been a man of few words and a very thoughtful human being, and who has always been concerned about the welfare of the citizens of Odisha. And don't forget this, if all of this were truth, 5 times you don't become a chief minister just like that, with growing popularity, with growing number of seats. So I think electoral politics needs to be seen in its context.
No, I agree. And that's something that I've been throwing at the BJP as well. But they say that, you know, the winds are changing their direction. They are expecting a massive sweep in both the Assembly and the Lok Sabha elections as well. But still, as you rightly said, no one has been able to break Naveen Patnaik's record, his winning streak. He is the undisputed leader, his charisma. How has your interaction with him been so far? What kind of a leader that he comes across to you?
The very reason I joined Biju Janata Dal were three reasons. The first reason was Naveen Patnaik's civil brand of politics. The man does not indulge in politicking all the time. He's focused on building his state in his own way. Others can criticize, they have a right to do that. And he maintains a certain decorum, there's a boundary to him. He doesn't go all out, and he believes in cooperative federalism. He supports the central government where necessary. He differs where necessary. He runs his government with a degree of high degree of integrity, where he has been very strict with ministers, MLAs, others going out of line, or there have been issues wherever. So people inherently trust him. So that was my primary attraction, that he represented a very civil brand of politics that resonated with me. And my interactions always have been, as you would expect, very crisp, to the point, professional. That's it. I joined Biju Janata Dal on 9th of February. By the time I come out of his residence, joining, he welcomes me, everything. I speak to the media, and I go out. He's taken a view that I should be the national spokesperson, because he watched, apparently, my interaction with the media and felt that even though I'm a greenhorn in politics, as you put it,
well, you are a novice in the sense that you are contesting for the first time.
Yes and no, it depends on what we mean by politics. If it is electoral politics, running the campaign in this heat, yes, I'm a novice. But understanding people dynamics, reacting to them, communicating with them, I'm not a novice. I've done that too.
Well, the argument could be that you haven't really spent time here. You have spent most of your time working for a corporate.
Right.
And I'm just playing the devil's advocate.
I know. I don't hold that against you. But let me put it this way.
But just very quickly, during your campaigns, I've been speaking to a lot of BJP candidates and some high-profile ones ever since I've come here to Odisha. They feel, or the sense that they're getting from the ground is that the people now are fed up. They feel that they have been deprived of their rights. And I think the allegation is that there is a deliberate attempt by the Odisha government to devoid the state of their benefits by not introducing the central welfare schemes. And there's this deliberate attempt.
Avantika, let me ask you a question. Have you done a comparison between the two? Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana.
I know, I have asked them about that.
Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana is an assurance model. Ayushman Bharat is an insurance model. And if you understand the difference between the two, in Biju Swasthya Kalyan Yojana, the money is paid directly to the hospital from the treasury of the government of Odisha. Whereas in Ayushman Bharat, you are dependent on an insurance company, third party, whose primary motive is profit making. Therefore, they would always ask for documentation and would always find a reason not to pay you full. Example number one. Madhu Babu pension plan for older people, people with handicap. Naveen Patnaik pays 1,000 rupees. The similar program of Government of India pays 300 rupees. 300 rupees divided by 30 days, how much it works out to be per day?
Well, you do that math and tell me.
You tell me, how does one live? With petrol prices going up, diesel prices going up, the so-called gas cylinder prices going up, with every other inflation being high, how does 300 rupees play out for a senior citizen or a handicap against the $1,000 that is here? Talk about women, Women's transformation and their empowerment is at all-time high in Odisha. Unprecedented what has been done here. You must come to the campaigns and see the women. Most people in the campaign meetings are women. They're taking the lead. They will talk about the success. They will glow in their eyes. They were all sitting with smokestack chula, stove in their, kitchen. They're today out there taking leadership role. They're handling money. They're doing production. They're selling. They're doing marketing. Phenomenal
Sambit Patra and Jay Panda both are saying that you should see how people still live in villages and under thatched roofs. I mean, that development has not been seen.
Well, I think, this is where I was trying to avoid getting too much of political slanging, but I would ask, those states where BJP has ruled long, do they all have pakka houses and nice lives? Are there no street beggars? Are there no nothing? Look, India is a poor country. I suspect, and without discrediting opposition, every government, when elected, would like to do something for their people. People do at different rates. Naveen Patnaik has, do you know in 2000 when Naveen Patnaik came, this government was bankrupt, did not have money to pay salary of its own employees. Today, after all the welfare schemes he has done, 24-25 budget, vote an account, has a surplus of 24 to 25,000 crores.
Okay.
Fiscal responsibility has been there. So we must stop doing politics in everything. Where a government has done outstanding work, if an opposition cannot see anything that Naveen Patnaik in 25 years has done good for the state, I pity our democracy that we are not into constructive politics.
That's interesting. So what would be your vision for your constituency? And when you go and you meet the people, what is it that you are seeing that you would like to improve or develop if you're voted to power?
Lots of it, small and big things. In my ideas manifesto, if you see, there are 3 buckets. One is economic regeneration of Cuttack. We need to bring more investment. We need to kind of generate more employment. We need to diversify the economy here. That's one peg. The second peg of mine is intellectual expansion. Cuttack was the seat or headquarters of intellectual discourse for Odisha for a long time. Avantika College, where I studied, very proud student of it. Madhusudan Law College and many others, SCB Medical College.
How would you achieve that? That's an interesting
How do
goal
I achieve
or
that?
aim or dream.
Interesting question. If you go to a constituency called Badamba, there's a place called Maniyabandhu, which does beautiful fabric, even for women, saris and stuff like that. Artists do, weavers do. In Cuttack, we have filigree work.
Yes.
All of this underlying theme is design. But Cuttack does not have a world-class design institution. I'll bring design. Cuttack today doesn't have any convention center that can hold 3,000 people at a time. I need a convention center where people will come and hold conferences where the intellectual discourse will grow. We could have, let's say, Pathani Samant in Khandapada. You may like to read his biography and history. In those days, he was an astronomer using very basic tools. Now, why can't we have something on space research in, let's say, Cuttack constituency, in tradition of Pathani Samant, who should have perhaps been even honored with a posthumous Bharat Ratna, since we are giving to so many people. He was an astronomer of those days. So I think the intellectual expansion basically means that we need to create more platforms and institutions that connect with cutting-edge, newer technologies. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So we wish you all.
So intellectual, and the third peg was, of course, mine is cultural rejuvenation. I would like to create a Katki culture museum where different festivals of this area is celebrated. I don't know if you know that Badamba is a place where Huensang had come. There's a place called Qadam Rasul here where Prophet Muhammad's feet are there. Okay. So I think there's a trek of different spiritual places I could create which could attract huge tourism, for example. There are many ideas I have. My Ideas Manifesto speaks about it.
Well, and I do hope that your ideas become a reality. Good wishes from our team.
Thank you
so much.
so much
for speaking to CNN News 18.
Thank you. Thanks so much.